All right, so we are going to write an offer on this particular property. So the first thing we do, pull it up in the MLS and we grab the picture. Save image as 370 East Talmadge. And we're just going to put it in our downloads folder. That way our dot loop's going to be pretty and it's going to help us visually identify things easier. Next, we're going to print the agent full of the MLS. We're not actually going to print it, we're going to print it to the PDF. And we're going to download that. 370 East Talmadge MLS. Okay, put that in our downloads. Great. Now we're going to go back to the property and we're going to download our supplements. We've got the RPD. Putting all this stuff in our downloads folder. Lead-based paint. And our title, affiliated business arrangement disclosure. Since you may not have an affiliation with the title company, it's always good to use the listing agent's title company because it makes them happy and we want a happy person to deal with. So now we got all our supplements. So now we can go back to our loop, or our dot loop, we can add a loop. We're going to use the address. And there it is, listed by Jose Medina. That's great. Continue. I don't use a loop template, but you can if you want. You're just going to have to archive a couple things that you already have. Upload the photo. There's our photo. Right on our downloads, and now we have that loop created. It's going to be a purchase. It's going to be a pre-offer right now because it's not accepted, and our client's going to offer $150,000. It's FHA, so we need at least 30 days to close. So we're going to pick a closing date. Today's September 4th. 30 days from now would be on a Saturday. Well, you can't close on a weekend. Can't close on a holiday. Never want to close on the first or the last day of the month. So we're going to give them a little extra time since the offer hasn't been accepted yet. And we're going to close on Friday, the 10th of October. I like closing on Fridays because then your client can move over the weekend. And now we're going to look at our loop. And for now, we're not going to use a template. Okay, so now we've got our loop. First thing, we're going to go down here to the people and select me as the buying agent. And we're going to add our buyer, Umesh. There he is. He's already in there because we already have the other loop with him. And he's going to be the buyer. All right, great. Now we got the people in here. Now we're going to go back to our loops and we're going to find Umesh. And out of here, this other loop, we're going to copy the pre-approval, buyer's rep, and consumer guide. Make a copy. We're not going to copy it as a dot loop document, or it's going to use the same dates from the buyer rep agreement and confuse things. So we're going to copy it as a flat PDF. To the loop, there's our loop, and it's just going in our folder. We could rename that our offer folder if we wanted to, but that's not really necessary. So we're back out of the Umesh loop down here, and we're back into our loop. And boom, there's those couple documents that we just transferred over. So now we're going to add a document. We're going to browse and put in our supplements and the MLS. So we're going to hold down the shift key, click on the first one, hold down the shift key, click on the last one, and it'll select all of them, and it's going to bring them all in all at once, nice and easy. All right, now we're cooking. So next stop is our templates. We want our buyer packet, okay? So we don't need the consumer guide. We already have that. We already have the buyer rep agreement. We do want the offer overview, agency disclosure, buyer broker compensation agreement, walkthrough addendum. You may or may not use this. You typically don't use it if there aren't any inspections. Wire fraud advisory, that's an internal document for us. Since I am also part of American Title Solutions, we're going to need my ABA. You might not have one, probably won't. America's Preferred Home Warranty brochure. We'd like to have that. The property was built before 1978, so we need the lead-based paint, and we need the purchase agreement. And that's enough to get us started. So we're going to copy all these things over here. Now, at this point, I've already told the agent I have an offer coming. I've already asked them, other than purchase price, what's the seller looking for in an offer? In this case, the agent said, hey, we'd like to use American Title Solutions and would like a quick close. So we're closing as quickly as possible. It's a vacant property. So we're going to send documents to the buyer in 2 rounds. First round is all the ancillary documents that at the bottom of the purchase agreement, it says the purchase agreement is subject to. So the buyer really needs to sign these before they sign the purchase agreement. And we can't trust them to sign things in the right order. So we're gonna do this. So first thing I do is reorganize my documents. I want the things that we need internally down here that we're never going to send out. And I want everything we're going to send out to come to the listing agent in a particular order. I like them to see the offer overview first and then the pre-approval. Okay. And you know what? It looks okay. Yeah, we're looking good. We're not going to send the MLS out, so that can go at the very bottom. Protect your family from lead paint. We're not going to send that out either, to the other agent, that is. This is the first thing I'll do. I'll share this with my buyer. View only. I'm going to type in here for viewing only, no signature required on this one. That way they don't say, oh, I can't sign it. What's wrong with this? Well, you have to look at this because the lead-based paint disclosure says that I sent it to you and you looked at it. So I would just share this. I'm not going to do this because this is not an active deal. So we just shared protect your family. We can forget about that. Now we're going to open all the the ancillary documents, what I call. So agency disclosure, buyer broker, walkthrough, wire fraud. We can scoot the wire fraud down here because that's one that we're not going to send out also. But all the rest of these we're going to send out. Okay, and we're going to skip the purchase agreement for now. We're going to select all these guys. We're going to open them up. All right, so now we don't want to type the seller in every single time, so we're going to add the seller. But we have to remember where we get the name for the seller. Sometimes if they don't have a residential property disclosure, then I'm going to go back to the listing. I'm just going to click one of the parcel numbers here, and it's going to open up Realist and show us who the owner is. Peach Caleb, okay? That's who Realist thinks the owner is. But what we're going to do is go back to our downloads, look for our property disclosure, which is, there's the lead-based paint, Talmadge, RPD, there it is. Okay. And so the owner is actually Peach, Caleb N. Peach, and Sarah Peach. So he's married now. So we need to get both of these owners on here. So because I like 2 screens and I like easy, I'm going to slide this over to my other monitor. I'm going to go back to .loop. And I'm going to go add person. Seller 1 is going to be Caleb and Peach. We don't need any other info because we don't have any other info. Okay. Seller 2 is going to be add person. That's going to be Sarah Peach. Okay. Now that person's in there. And that's about all we have to worry about. We don't have to worry about this other stuff for now. And our offer date is going to be today, September 4th. So autofill, and it's going to populate a lot of this stuff for us. So we want everything filled out so we don't have to go back to this. So Jose Medina, oh, we don't have his brokerage in there. We're going to need that. What's his brokerage? Keller Williams Legacy Group Realty. Okay. And I'm going to be lazy. Everybody knows who KW is. Legacy Group Realty. Put that in there. Now we're going down to the buyer. Our buyer is Umesh. There's only one. We don't want him wasting time signing in places he doesn't need to sign. So we're going to assign the first one to him, the second one to no one. Down here, same deal. Umesh, no one. Okay, now we're at the buyer broker comp. In this case, we already know it's KW Legacy Group Realty. Got that in, got our buyers, got the seller. Now, in this case, my buyer broker agreement says 3%. So I'm asking the seller to pay 3%. The buyer's paying my brokerage fee, which happens to be $295. Yours can be whatever you want. So overall compensation for the buyer side, buyer brokerage, is $295 plus 3%. Okay. Don't really need to worry about what the listing brokerage agrees to pay because we haven't even asked. We really don't care. We're negotiating for the seller to pay our full 3% right now. So buyer agent sign here. I'm going to sign that. Down here, I want Umesh to sign right above his name and nobody over here. Okay, buyer broker's done. Walkthrough addendum. Well, our walkthrough is usually 1 to 3 days before acceptance. I like to put this little blurb in here, especially if it's occupied. Property to be delivered in broom swept condition with all chattel removed. All repairs to be completed and receipts provided to buyer by final walkthrough. So if we are getting a home inspection, there was a couple things left in the basement of the house that we want gone. And while they're moving them out, we want to walk through to make sure that they didn't ding the walls or there's any changes to the property from the time of the home inspection to the time we're done. And if there are any repairs that we've asked for from the home inspection, we want receipts by the final walkthrough. So again, Umesh signed there, no one's going to sign here, and we're good to go on the walkthrough. Here's my affiliated business arrangement disclosure with American Title Solutions because I have one. We're going to have Umesh sign that. Nobody sign this. You guys probably won't have one. Definitely in the beginning, you will not. Now the home warranty. So if they don't want a home warranty, you're going to have them sign down here under waiver. If they do want the home warranty, we're going to ask for a home warranty. It might get negotiated out. It's going to be the single family home warranty for 1 year. That's what most people ask for, okay? And we want Umesh to sign here. When we send this over, the seller's going to have to sign above him. And since nobody's going to sign under the waiver, which says, hey, we offered you the home warranty and you decided you didn't want it, so it can't come back to us. And sometimes I send this to the client ahead of time, like during our strategy session, so they can look over all the different versions of home warranty that they have. So we'll scroll through that. Now we're at the property disclosure. We're going to add Umesh's initials on the first page and every page thereafter. And we're going to read this, because if there's anything here branch fell on roof resulting in a minor leak. It was quickly repaired, no permanent damage. Okay, that's no big deal. I'm probably not going to even talk about that with him. He'll be able to read that. Although if I do happen to talk to him, I am going to say, hey, did you see this? Did you see this? Anything on here that pops out that could be a red flag, water in the basement, etc., you want to make the client aware. Dotloop just makes it too easy to click through everything and not read it. Okay, so we're adding his initials everywhere it says purchaser's initials, and now down at the end, signature. Okay. And they like to initial this one too, so anywhere there's seller's initials, we want to put ours. But our particular property disclosure, we don't require this. Okay, lead-based paint. Seller has no knowledge, seller has no reports. Okay. Purchaser has received copies, not received anything. Okay, we have not received anything. Umesh can initial there. He has already received the lead-based paint brochure because I already sent it to him. And he's not interested in the lead-based paint test because it's expensive and I haven't had anybody get one ever. All right, so now we want his signature here, Umesh, my signature under purchase agreement. I'm just going to hit sign now, and there we go. Lead-based paint's done. So now, purchase, borrower, add text. We're going to put a text box in here, and we're going to put Umesh Kumar Yadav. Kumar Yadav. Put his name in there. We're going to put a date just because I like to be complete. It's today's date. And seller's already signed, so we need Umesh to sign. Wire fraud. This is our internal document. It's just a CYA document. Cover your assets. Right, and there we go. Now all the ancillary ones are done. Now I would save and share. And boom. And then I would text Umesh, hey, just sent you round one. Please sign, and then I'll send you the purchase agreement. Okay, so now, before I send the purchase agreement, we're going to edit that. I like to do the offer overview and the purchase agreement in the same shot. Okay, open. Now, there's a little bit more stuff here. He's going to put $1,000 of earnest money. We got all that number. We have the legal description. If we needed the legal description, we could go to the realist, scroll down, and the legal description's right here. Sometimes they don't have it. Okay? And we're going to autofill. Now, no escalation, so we could skip that. His type of mortgage is FHA. His down payment's going to be 3.5%. Seller paid closing costs. He doesn't need any. So actually, we're just going to pretend he needs $2,000. Okay? He wants a home warranty. So we're going to do $4.99 America's Preferred Home Warranty. Paid by seller. Inspections. He wants the general home, radon, and WDI. This just makes it really easy for the seller to look at stuff. We like being easy to work with. So our pre-approval. Ooh, I can't, oh no, I do. So our pre-approval is Chase Bank, 150K FHA. Possession, we're going to do time of transfer. And co-broke compensation is going to be 3%. That's our buyer broker commission. Now, in other, we can put some other stuff in here if we want. I like to put a expiration date. So offer is open for acceptance until, and a little over 24 hours because I don't know how long it's going to take him to sign this. So we'll do 9/5/25 at 5 p.m. Okay, there we go. I copy this because I don't like typing stuff over and over. Here's our purchase agreement. I'm going to scroll all the way down to the bottom and cheat real quick. Under additional terms, there's where I'm going to put my offer expiration. Now we're going back up. Okay, Start on the purchase agreement. Now, this says parcel number. Well, I just happened to notice that there are 2 parcel numbers in this. So we're going to add another text box. I'm going to go back to the listing. Aha, there's this. This will save you from having to write an addendum later. So we're going to put both parcel numbers in there. Everybody always forgets, always takes an addendum, and if you're like me, I don't like doing stuff if I can do it the first time. All right, so here we're looking at this, and down here I'm looking for what appliances are included, and the listing agent hasn't put any. So if we don't remember, we're gonna have to go back to the pictures. Okay, let's see if there are any appliances. This is a fine home. Oh, look, we've got a range, we've got an oven, and we've got a fridge. Range oven / fridge. Range / fridge, whatever, you get it. And there's a microwave sitting on the counter. We could add that if we wanted, but it's kind of a mobile piece. They may take it with them. We don't want the drums. They're too noisy. There is a window unit there. We're going to remember that. We're also looking for ceiling fans because we spotted one of those. Okay? So we have an idea of the appliances. There still is central air. Okay? Now we're going to go back here. We saw a range and oven. We saw a fridge. Central air. Probably should make these boxes a little bigger. Do we want the window air conditioner or not? And then this stuff is for the fireplace. If there is a fireplace and tools, there is. I didn't see any tools. Existing window treatments, I usually click that. People can tear them down if they want, but at least it gives something covering the windows in the meantime. Down here, this whole section's about secondary offer. This is not a secondary offer. So we click the no and make sure we don't touch any of the rest of this. Purchase price, $150 is our purchase price. We want our earnest money done, electronic deposit, $1,000. And if we're doing an inspection, I like to protect the buyer, and he doesn't have to pay earnest money until we're done negotiating any repairs for the release of contingency. Balance of funds needed for closing, 3.5%. There's our down payment. And remaining to be financed, I always put to be determined here. If we get a counter offer, that's one less field we have to change. So financing, we're doing FHA. Okay, buyer, Boomish, that one, none already. Okay, so we want him to make a written application. Today is Thursday. Well, I think we want to give him 6 days because we have a weekend and he may be shopping around for a different mortgage. I'm not a huge fan of Chase personally. So I may tell him he might want to get a mortgage quote from Chase and another local lender. We've got about, if our offer is accepted tomorrow on a Friday, then we've got about, 25 days in September and then 10 days in October. So we'll say he needs to have, that's 35 days till close. We'll give him 34 days to get the loan ironed out. Okay, as much time as possible, but you don't count closing date. We are using American Title Solutions. If we were to use someone else, it would go in here. It already is pulling in our closing dates. Possession's going to be within 0 days by TOT, time of transfer. Sign, boom, boom, boom. Okay, down here, seller shall pay. Seller's gonna pay $2,000 towards buyer's closing costs, points, and prepaids. Okay, that way they can use that for whatever they want to. Escrow agent shall withhold something for the final water and sewer bill. Well, the house is almost vacant. It's probably not more than $100. $100, $200, whatever you want to put in there. Buyer shall pay, but the only thing I put in here is $295 Great Move Realty fee. We want the seller to authorize the selling agent or the listing agent to get a copy of the closing disclosure, and the buyer to get to authorize the title company to send the closing disclosure to the buyer's agent. Home warranty. We do want a home warranty. It's going to be by America's Preferred Home Warranty. Cost is $4.99. Seller through escrow. If you forget to do this, click this little box, well, you might be paying the $500 home warranty out of your commission. So detail is important, especially on the biggest transaction someone will ever make. Okay, so he does want the home inspection. He does want any others deemed necessary by the general home inspector. We give ourselves a couple extra days for those in case the home inspection is on day 7 and the home inspector says, oh, you need a structural inspection. That gives us 3 days to get it done. In this case, client does want radon. We do want a mold inspection if we get any pushback from our negotiation. I've never had that, but you never know. We may want a structural if it's any deemed necessary. So if we click this that says, hey, they're waiving everything other than what they've checked, we don't want ambiguity in our purchase agreement. If you ever get pushback from an agent on this, have them call me. But these are only initialed if you are waiving all inspections. Okay, so now we're down to Umesh, and he's signing the property disclosure and all those others now, so he has seen it. Umesh again, walkthrough 1 to 3 days, matches our walkthrough addendum. It just has a little more info, and then it is subject to agency disclosure, buyer broker comp, residential property disclosure. In this case, VA. We're going to let the lender send us the VA addendum later. Lead paint addendum and affiliated business. If multiple offers and you're competing with someone, you might check this and put in escalation clause too. But for the most part, right now, there are no offers. There's our additional terms. Make sure you get his initial. Make sure his signature is above his name. This is not assigned to anyone, and then one little more one down here, and boom. Now, as soon as he signs those other ones, then I'll send over the offer overview, purchase agreement. Once that's done and he signed it, then I'll share it with the agent. I'll share everything except the stuff we're keeping for our internal use, all these things down here, and I like to share with a PDF, so I'll hit attach PDF. Under here I'll put, whoops, we don't want to share with Umesh, she's already signed at this point in theory. Send with the listing agent, edit in private, and we'll put, hi Jose, please let me know that you've received this. Thanks, Mike. We like to be nice, and we'll share it with the listing agent. At that point, then we'll go into Follow Up Boss or your phone and text the listing agent, hey, I just sent you an offer on East Talmadge. Please let me know you received it. And in this case, Jose Medina, big team leader, this is probably the person I would text Kevin, and I would text Jose in a little group text and say, hey, wait, just sent you guys an offer. Let me know if you got it. And that way, if they're not checking their email or he's got a dozen other offers, we still get confirmation. So that's it.